most helpful for you. And I'm sorry, I was getting background noise, but I definitely want you to have the opportunity to make those next steps. So obviously, when we're talking about money, we're thinking about how do we make money? How do we? And I talk a lot about, hey, decrease your debt, try to increase your income, and invest. Those are the three things you have to do, right? So today, because I think a lot, if you're like me, you're at home. A lot of us are on mandate, so we're in this little bit of a home detention center, so to speak. I thought I reached out to my good friend Crystal, who, by the way, we kind of met via Facebook. So I will tell you, if you don't connect with people on Facebook, really take the opportunity to reach out. But she has a wonderful business, wonderful resource that she actually helps people kind of make those next steps to their careers. And I want her to share a little bit about that. If you have questions, go ahead and hit that in the comments. We have some questions that we're gonna just write off immediately, but mostly this is about her sharing her expertise. What things can you do? What steps can you take to try to take yourself to that next level? And so to just get us going, Crystal, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do now? How did Write2Success come about? What is Write2Success? All those person questions. Because I know you're awesome, but I want everybody else to know too.
Well, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Crystal. I started Write2Success in 2009. So it's a writing service, but it's also more centered towards resume writing. But I do help people create marketing tools to help them brand themselves and land whatever it is that they desire. The reason why I started it is because I had a lot of jobs after college. I graduated college in 2005, and every year I quit my job because I didn't like it. And I felt like I had learned as far as I was going to go in that role. And then I thought, now's the time to move on to something else. So whatever I thought I wanted, that's what I tried to do. So I thought I wanted to be an admissions counselor. I did that for a year. I didn't like it. I thought I wanted to work at a bank. I did that for a year. I didn't like it. I thought I wanted to be a manager because my degree is in business management. And so I tried working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Didn't like it. So my aunt invited me to figure out what I actually wanted to do because she was diagnosed with cancer. She died 30 days afterwards. But I went to see her at the hospital every day. And one day I was late because I was trying to get some food. So when I got there, she was looking at the clock, and I thought she was looking at the clock because I was late. But she was like, no, I'm looking at the clock because I felt like I wasted my time. And she worked at Allstate Insurance, but really wanted to do like event planning or decorating. And she never got to do that. And she was only 40 something when she passed. Oh, so wow. When she told me, don't waste your time, that was all I needed to hear. And when she passed, I quit my job like 2 weeks after she passed with no real plan, which I don't recommend you guys do that. But I mean, I was so motivated that like, I didn't care what was happening in life. Right. I committed to not wasting my time. Right. And so I literally wrote on the top of a sheet of paper, and this is 2009. So this is like recession time, really not the best time to quit. But I wrote the top of paper, like, what do I like to do? That's all I wrote, blank sheet of paper. What do I like to do? And I wrote a lot of things down: roller skating, resume writing, just writing in general, shopping, spending time with family, going to the beach, like whatever it was. I didn't cancel anything out. And then once I had my list together, then I was like, well, what's recession proof and what can make me some money? And I decided resumes was it. And the reason why I picked resumes is because in college, I was writing all my friends' resumes for internships and jobs, and they were getting stuff. So I was like, okay, so this actually works. And once I realized it worked, and I decided that that's what I was going to do, then I used social media to broadcast it every single day. My friends were sharing it. I was getting a lot of client testimonials as time passed, so that also helped. And so word of mouth is still the way that I get most of my business. And then now I've transitioned to BET Networks. So I work at BET. I'm an executive assistant to the president. And I absolutely love my job, and I still use my skills in that role as well. Mm-hmm. And he actually said, like, I want somebody that can write. And I was like, oh, that's me. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then he's a journalism major. So he was like, well, yeah, a lot of people say they can write, but I don't know if they really can write. So he gives me like press releases to write or bios or whatever. And he's like, he just tells me what the topic is, and I have to just write it and then bring it back to him for review. So the first time I wrote, someone else in the company was like, if he sends it back and tells you got to scratch the whole thing, start over, don't be offended. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. So I wrote something, I gave it to him, and he just put okay with a circle at the top. And I was like, that's it? Like, I was expecting this to be like a elaborate whole thing. Like, what the? And he's like, this is great. He was like, you can write for real. So that also, I know I can write, but when they say confirmation hard, and then he's not like, I really can write. I was like, oh, this is just the best. Yeah. So I still use these skills even now, and I still write resumes for clients, and that's what makes me happiest is when people attract what they want. And that's the only goal that I have when I'm writing for clients is to get you what you say you want.
Fantastic. So many different chucks. And I know I know a little bit more about her study. I've kind of read up and watched a little bit of Crystal. We kind of go back and forth on social media. But just to kind of set the framework of what I want you guys to get out of, it takes hard work to get these opportunities. So when you hear, yeah, I work for BET, I'm an executive assistant, that's an awesome role. But Crystal, kind of share a little bit about what that journey to get to that role kind of looked like and how you actually prepared for it. And when we talk about, I want you guys to kind of think about, what do I mean by hard work to get to the place you want to be? Now, Crystal, you were already motivated about the time aspect, but talk a little bit about how did you get that BET role? Okay.
So really, I've never thought that BET is a place that I want to work. It wasn't a company that I was like, oh, that's where I want to be. But I had also never thought about companies in that way prior to BET. I literally was just taking jobs because that was the industry I wanted. They said they want me. I'm like, cool, I'll be there. You're going to pay me. That was it. Like, they didn't put that much thought into it. It wasn't like I researched Chase or I researched Enterprise. I just took the job because it was the field that I thought I wanted. But BET, I stumbled upon because I was trying to see when Kelly Rowland's dance show came on. That was really why I was on their website. That was the only reason that I was on their website. But then I heard something, and it was like click careers. And I hadn't clicked careers in so many years because at this point it was 2016. Uh-huh. And so I clicked careers. And then I see like they had this position that I'm in now open, and it said it was in Chicago. And I didn't even know that BET was in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So it said the exact title was executive assistant to the president of media sales. So I'm like, well, who is the president of media sales? That was my next thing to look up. So then I Googled that. I found out his name was Louis Carr. And then I'm like, well, who is Louis Carr? So I Googled his name, and then I see pictures with him with celebrities, and I see his history of who he is and how he's become who he is. So I'm like, okay, this could make sense for a strategic positioning reason for me. Like, this is not like every other job I've ever taken, because every other job, I didn't think that much about it. I didn't put that effort into research. I literally just applied. They called me and I was there. So this time I was like, okay, I see who he is. I see the type of influence he has. I see the capacity of what this role could be. So I'm going to apply. But I applied with the mindset that when I meet him, if we don't click, I'm not going to take the job. Mm-hmm. So I didn't go in thinking like I have to have this, because I was fine writing at home. I really was content with that and really loved doing it. So when that opportunity came, I created my own resume, created my own cover letter, and I used words from the job description. And I also talked about him personally from things that I found online about him, so that I wanted to be clear to the person reading it. I knew that he wouldn't be the first person reading it. It would be the HR person or something like that. Right. So I wanted that person to understand that I have done so much research on not only him, but BET. And this is why I feel like I'm a good fit based on what I have found. Mm-hmm. So it took maybe like a month or maybe 6 weeks or something before I heard anything back, because, you know, people don't respond like they used to. So they sent a request for an interview, and first it was like a phone call. So we did a phone interview, and then they were like, okay, that was only like 10 minutes maybe. And then they said, you know, I could come in for the actual interview. So I kept brushing up on things about him. I made sure I printed all my stuff out, because I'm not a digital person in that sense. Like, I have to actually see the notes in order to remember what I wrote and what I read. So I would print the stuff out. I use a highlighter. I highlight all these buzzwords from the job application, from my own resume, and from research that I found about him. So I felt good about the interview. I was ready for it. But when I went in, it was 5 hours. I was not ready for an interview. It was like 5 different people, and each person got an hour, and some was video conference, some was in person, and some was on the phone. So I'm like, this is long as ever. And they gave me a little bottle of water, like the smaller bottle, not the regular little bottle of water.
Right, just the taste.
I'm like, how long am I going to be sitting here? Like, when I finished the third person, that's when I started to feel like, okay, how many do I have left?
Yeah.
I've been here a long time.
Right.
And
I hope you ain't working.
Right. It was long. I'm like, this is crazy. I've never had this experience before. But I was, in the sense of it, in the grand scheme, I was ready though. Like the stuff they were asking me, I knew how to respond to it. They were saying the reason why they wanted me to meet with so many people is because it was a team effort and you work with a lot of people. So they also wanted to see if those people felt like they could work with me. So I understood it. And I was thinking the same thing when I was talking to them, like, can I even work with these people? Like, are they cool enough for me? Like,
right. Yeah, I don't like you. Well, this ain't gonna work out.
But it was good because it was literally no pressure for me. Like, because I didn't, it wasn't like I had to have the job, so I didn't feel that much pressure either way. But I did want to make sure I was paying attention. And so they called me like another 3 weeks later for another interview. That one was an assimilation interview. So they had like 3 candidates in the room, and they gave us a project to do. And then they're like, you guys need to figure out who does what. And I didn't think that was a real thing. Like, I had never done that before either. But so I thought these people were staged. I didn't think that they were really candidates. And so I kind of just took the lead on it. And I was like, so what are you good at based on what the task is? And this is what I'm good at. So you could do this part, I could do that part. So I was just doing that. And they were watching us through like a room and listening to what we were saying and how we were moving. So then they're like, okay, we want you to come back for the final interview. And this time you'll meet with Lewis. So Lewis had just written a book. And literally had just written the book. So I bought the book, read the book in like 3 days. Like the whole book, I was committed to just knowing who he was.
Right.
So in addition to all those other notes I had already taken, now I'm equipped with a book that he wrote that he's talking about himself. Right. So I read the book, and I didn't tell that many people that I was applying for this job because I didn't want people to make me nervous. And then when I went in for the interview, I went in like an hour early, but I sat outside just so I could calm my nerves and get myself together. Right. Because even though I was ready, I was still nervous. Like, absolutely, forever. But I'm fine. Yeah. I'm here now. Like, I'm about to meet him, and
exactly,
we're about to see what happens and if we click. And
right.
And so when I met him, the first question he asked was, "What do you know about me?" And I knew everything on the internet and everything that was in his book.
Okay. See? Like, I didn't even know I did that. I thought that was secret. Well,
whatever it's out there. They were like gone, because I'm like, I'm ready. Like, right. I'm beyond ready. Right. At this point. So I told him about his wife, his best friend, his high school, his college, his major, his book, his mom, his dad. Like, I knew everything. So I did a lot of preparation, I took a lot of time because I took this serious, because it is something that I was interested in. Right. And I wanted them to understand that capacity. So they told me then that in 2 weeks they would let me know if I got the job, but they called me that night and told me I got the job at like 7 at night, and they asked could I start the next day, which I was like, I've been waiting like 3-4 months, and now you want me to
Yeah, we need you like yesterday, but and it's 7 at night. What you doing? I'll sleep. Shoot, I was chilling. You know what I mean? So
Oh, man.
no, that's phenomenal. When you think about how often do we not think about the stuff we watch on TV? Those are careers and jobs you can do. ESPN, NBC, all of them, they all have career pages. Will you have the gumption to, number one, just say, hey, I'm gonna apply? But then for you, when you talk about that hard work, you put in hard work, meaning you took the time, you were basically stalking anything that had his name on it in the internet. So stalking might not be the best thing, but deep market research on him and the role, which is very, very important because, again, you will be able to thoroughly speak to questions and answers about him, about the role, and how you're a fit. So it's very, very important that when we talk about hard work and you really got to put in the effort, that's effort. That's that's very, very time consuming. And again, when you talk about, hey, the job didn't mean anything, but as far as if you didn't get it, hey, you'll just go back to doing your own thing. But we all, whenever you have a conversation, whether you're trying to get a deal to speak or whether you're trying to get a new job, everyone has that nervousness when it comes to having a conversation of why you should be doing it. We all have to sell ourselves in some form of fashion. So that's really very important when you think about the job search. And then now that you're on, or your expertise is helping others, what do you think makes an effective job search?
So now that I've done this on my own and I understand how impactful it can be, for one, it takes a long time to get a job. Like the process is usually pretty long. So I feel like if you're going to go through that process, then you need to be willing to go through it for something that you actually like.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, you need to not only go on Indeed and all those things, like think about companies that you think that you want to work with or work for. Go on Glassdoor and see what people are saying about the company, because those are people that currently work there and people who previously worked there, and they are sharing how they felt about working there. So if you feel like you need work-life balance, then you need to find a company that cares about work-life balance. If you don't mind working super hard, super long hours, getting overtime, then find a company that does that. If you want to wear jeans to work every day, then find you a startup company or something like that, because startups generally are more relaxed than like super mainstream corporate companies. So you have to think about what your actual needs are. What do you care about? What do you want? And then you need to go and research that. So when you do actually get an interview, or you do actually get a call back, or you do actually get an offer, is not the attitude of, I guess I have to take it, because this is something that you've actually been seeking out. And I think it does take a long time to figure out what you want. You have to use the experiences you've already had. Like, you don't like micromanagers. So when you're interviewing with somebody, try to find out if that person is that. Try to ask those type of questions that will give you the answers that you need in order to decide if you think this is a good fit for you. Because they can tell you, like, oh my God, you're amazing, we would love to have you. And
you might not be loved to have them.
But you want to be there though. Like, I think the preparation of it all and the research of it all and knowing yourself and knowing what it is that you want, like, if you know, I'm just coming in here for the experience because I want to be able to put this on my resume, I'm going to stay for about a year, I'm going to stay for, this in your mind, this is what I'm here for. So then your motivation is, when you're there, whether it's tough or not, I came here for this reason, I'm going to learn all that I can, I'm going to take these skills to another company. But you have to have some sort of a game plan in your mind of what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. That's phenomenal. Because I know I talked when we had our conference call, I was saying, hey, I truly believe we're all kind of temporary workers. We're all kind of working for contract, because a couple things are going to happen. It's either like a recession, they make you go home, or COVID makes you go home, or you get fired, or you know what I mean, which if you don't like the job, eventually the money will burn out. And what will happen is your behaviors will change to where you're not liking the job supersedes and you will get fired. You'll make some silly error and will get fired. And then lastly, or you quit. You, like you said, say you was quitting jobs, you're like, it doesn't really matter. But it's one of those things of all these jobs are temporary because any job that you're doing has to evolve. Even if you're in the same job title and you've been with that company for 20 years, I guarantee you, year 20, you are not doing what you did in year 1. Yes. You have to change. And it's better to be on the side of change where you're kind of controlling it, meaning, hey, again, I took jobs just for the experience. I took jobs just to kind of better myself for whatever reason. But there was always something I was doing. I don't take a job that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? I even told a person when I was in an interview weeks or so ago, he was like, well, why do you want to work this job? I was like, well, I wouldn't apply to a job that I don't want. Like, I wouldn't even waste your time like that. Like, that's a waste of my time. I had to drive down here. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you spend 40 plus hours away from your friends, your family, all this stuff. And then in those 40 hours, you hating what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Like, and I know some people feel like they think that's a luxury to say that.
Right.
Because they're like, I have family, I have this, I have responsibilities.
Right.
And I understand that you have those things, but you also have a choice at that time. Like,
exactly.
At the time of you searching for a job, especially if you have a job already, then you really have a good amount of time to be like, let me take my time with this. Let me figure out what I really want. Let me pursue that, because that's the best time to do that. But to leave your job that you hate to go to another job you hate, all because you didn't put forth the effort to understand where you were going, that's a fault on your part.
Right. And that's the thing about, you know what I mean, where I like to tell people money really shouldn't drive your life decisions. It's something to help you, right? So I'm not taking a job for money. And so we get so wrapped up into, you know what I mean? I got these car notes, I got this credit card, I got home equity line, I got all these things, I got these lifestyle that I'm paying for. Now I got to find me a job to match the lifestyle, right? So I got to take it. Well, if you take that off the table, it really opens your door to be like you said, you're in Write2Success. I'm financial coaching. Yeah. Am I making the money I once made? No, but I'm happy what I'm doing. And I get to do it all the time. And that's ultimately, if I'm going to spend my time doing something, I'd rather spend my time doing what I like to do. Will it have monetary effects? Yeah, eventually we'll get there. But 40 plus hours a week doing something I don't like, and then to your point, working for somebody that I don't really love, they don't give me good feelings. So that ain't really worth it. When you talk about that search and you talk about how to get that job or going in, what do you think are ways to get your resume noticed for a potential employer? Is there key words? Is there a format, et cetera? What do you think are good ways or good opportunities that can help you get your resume noticed?
Well, in 2005, I think it was, I worked for the 76ers in Philly, and I was in the Human Resources Department. So they had this system that would search for all these keywords throughout a resume and a cover letter before the resume even came to me. So it was a machine, that did that. And that was in 2005. So you can only imagine how that works now. Yeah. So when people create their resumes and they do this general blanket resume and they try to use it for all these different companies and all these different positions, you don't know what system they have.
Right.
So you probably makes sense for you to expect them to have that same type of system. So whatever words, when you read the job description, you need to highlight stuff, you need to underline the stuff, and you need to tailor your resume because this is a job you really want. So you're going to put forth all this effort.
Right.
You tailor your resume for that particular job. So you have to put those words somewhere throughout your cover letter and your resume. And you also should research the company and see what it is that they care about. Look at their mission statement. Look at the person you may be supporting. If you could look on LinkedIn and find out when they give you someone's title, like they gave me Lewis's title, but they didn't say his name. So they give you the title, then you Google who is that actual person. Then you go to LinkedIn or you Google their name or you do something else to find more out about them. And because most people don't do any of this,
right?
like, most people don't do this. It will make you stand out. And that's the biggest thing that you need your resume to do, is to stand out. So it's not the same as it used to be, where you print it on this cute paper and it has to be a certain stock of paper. It's not the same in that sense, but your words still matter. Your accomplishments still matter. It should not be general. So if you're like a receptionist and you say, I answered the phone, like everybody says they answered the phone because they're receptionists.
Right.
But you need to say, like, how many calls a day did you answer?
Right.
You direct the calls to, how many people did you help a day? How were you valuable is really what you're trying to prove. Exactly. But if you're saying you answer calls, then you in the same batch with everybody else who answer calls. Exactly. So none of you will get called back, but somebody else who was more specific about what they did will.
Yeah, that's definitely important. So do you think length has, what you're saying, all these different formats, do you think there's a page limit of how your how long your resume should be, a good rule of thumb, things of that nature? I know for me, I think it's more of an industry thing, because if you're in education, those resumes books. But in business, they just be like a one page and be like, hey man, what did you recently do? And how can you help me type thing? So what's your thought?
It does depend on the industry, but most industries 1 to 2 pages is best.
Okay.
Like a CEO, COO, those people, high level vice presidents, theirs are probably 2 pages. But if you're like a receptionist, or if you're a customer service rep, or you were a food worker, but you're not trying to be the chef, like you just chef or something like that, you don't need to have 2 pages unless you've been in the industry for a very long time. And then you're trying to share your history for the 10 years to prove that you've been in that industry for a very long time. But 10 years is the max that you should put on your resume, unless it's a government resume or a CV. Then they care about everything. Like they want to know, since you were born, what were you doing with your life?
Right. You know what I mean? What was your dreams when you just came out the womb? Well, I was just trying to stay alive. So, at that point, I would learn how to breathe.
Yeah. But everything else is 1 to 2 pages. Like mine is 1 page, and I tailor it depending on what I'm doing. So I don't, like when you put a job on your resume, most people would put the job, they put the city, the state, the time frame they've been there, and then they describe the job. But if you don't want to attract that type of job again, like I don't want to work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, so I'll list it, but I don't put any descriptions after it, because I don't want you to care about that. Like I don't care about it, and I need you not to care about it. That's what I want to do with my life. But when we talk about writing and we talk about being an assistant and being organized and time management and communication skills, that's what I need you to focus on. So you gotta.
So that's where you can get the space, is what you're saying. As far as if you're trying to keep it from resume perspective, you don't have to go in detail. You could be like, hey, these are the dates I was there, and maybe a couple of sentences, but really focusing. No
sentences. Like if you don't like sales,
so like a true blank LinkedIn type scenario, wow.
Depending on what you want. That's why I tailor every resume to each customer depending on what they want. So when people are like, well, can I just get a template? I'm like, I don't have a template, because it really is what is your situation? Like, what is it that you need? So we have to make it different for everybody, because there's a chronological resume, and then there's a functional resume, and then there's a combo resume. So the chronological is what I described, where you list the company and then you put the bullet points after. The functional is like, you say you have use categories instead. So you would say customer service skills, or communication proficiencies, or organization, or whatever it is that you want to focus on, because that's what's going to work for that position. Then you put the bullet points after that. So you're focusing on skills. That's what you need, because when people transfer from one industry to another,
Mm-hmm.
We're like, well, how do you fit here? So
Right. How does
functional
that matter?
skills. Yeah, because
Yeah.
can be transferred to anything. So
Yeah.
you talk about the skills that are relevant as opposed to, I know I said I want to work in entertainment, but I just came from the car industry.
Exactly. I can hook you up with a car though. Hey, I know how to get you a rental, get you what you need.
Yeah,
No, that's so good. And a lot of what I keep hearing consistently is we have to tailor it to each posting. We have to take that time to each posting. That's what makes the job search so hard.
yeah,
So I know one of the things that I came across was when you're searching for a job, a lot of people think, hey, I can put out 8-10 resumes a day. You know what I mean? But you're putting out the same resume to 8 different posting. I know Google had a statistic of, hey, you need 3 quality postings a day, or really a week for that matter. But I think it's 3, if I remember correctly, it's 3 quality a day. So
yeah,
3 quality a day, if you're doing your approach, if you're telling your resume, taking those keywords, really starting to break down everything, taking off those jobs that don't really matter,
yeah,
that takes time on top of searching for that job or that position you think you might want to go into.
yeah.
So a little bit, just to take a little pivot, what type of things do Write4Success offer? I know Mickey had a question earlier about can I hire you to write for me, and we all know that answer is just yes, like yesterday. But personally speaking, what services do Write2Success offer?
So the writing services are typically, it starts with resume writing. That's how it all started. But I also do cover letters. I do bios. I do company profiles for web content. I even write the web content. I do not write business plans.
Okay.
So let me just clear that in when people ask, so you're right, I don't write business plans. And I've even written school curriculum that
Oh
is
wow.
in like Chicago public schools, but I've written press releases. I've realized over time that I am truly a writer. So I can write just about anything. I edit, like I have, my eye is trained to see things at this point because I've been doing it for so long and I've been so committed to it. So I've definitely gotten better and better over time. But depending on the project and depending on my time in life, sometimes I don't have time to do really long projects, but I don't turn resumes away. I might be able to do it at a later date, but I don't turn resumes away. But other things that may be time consuming, I definitely share resources on other people that are good at it too.
Right.
I learned how to write and edit from my mother, and she's edited like authors' books that are published in New York Times bestsellers and whatever. So when people are like, I need an editor, I always send them to my mom because I know she's going to get them right and she won't miss anything.
Right. Absolutely. Girl, you thought I was going to catch that bug, right? You know, no, I was just slipping it in. No. Awesome. So good. I told y'all she awesome. So one of the good questions that I kind of wanted to say was, what's a good way to answer the infamous salary expectation question during the interview process? And I definitely have my methods, but you're the professional, so I would love to get your insight.
Well, I think for one, you really need to know what your number is. Like, if you were making 60,000 somewhere, and you know, no matter how much this may be your dream job, you cannot, based on your lifestyle and what you expect, you can't accept anything less than 55,000 or 50,000 or whatever. Then I wouldn't put like 40,000 on your thing just because you're trying to ignore, like, because if that's what they offered, you know, you're not going to accept it.
Right.
But I also, research comes in good handy for this too, because you can research what the median salary is for somebody in that position. You can look at the whole range of what people make. I think it's salary.com that tells you this.
Right.
So, so then you won't go out the box. So if you see that like, you can only make, most people make 70,000 in this role, like that's the highest end, then you don't put 90 on your
right. Yeah, I need to make 100. You know,
Like,
just to make sure.
you can't cancel yourself out like that.
Yeah.
So you gotta do the research on what can you make and what is your absolute bare minimum of what you're willing to accept.
Right.
And then when you do that research, then you can say whatever number you want to put on there, and then you say, but you're open to discussion or you're open to negotiation. So that word helps when you say you're open to negotiation. But I would never like lowball yourself, because for one, you're leaving money on the table.
Right.
And for two, like, you're not gonna take it anyway. So you wait your time. And the fact that this takes so long to get to even that point, and then you gonna waste time, like, that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And then, like you said, you worked in HR. At this point, if you go watch YouTube or go read research on the internet and kind of pull up job negotiation, at this point in the job search, it's kind of standard and expected that you're going to push about the salary question. And one of the things that I learned is it's a trick, right? So they ask you, what's the salary you think you would be comfortable with working a particular job, but you haven't even really fully figured out what the job is. You're just going off the posting, because with the posting, those postings are general. So when you actually, I know for me, I always like to do a range in the beginning, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm finna uncover when I talk to this guy, because you might say 50, and then you go talk to the hiring manager, you're like, oh, there's a lot more work involved in this. This ain't what Glassdoor told me. So it's important that you be able to speak to. And one of the things that, like you said initially, is it's a job, right? It's like buying a car. Is, hey, I'm not trying to price gouge you or anything like that. I just want it to be fair. It's very important that what this job is supposed to pay, I get paid that. Now, in some companies, you might get a premium, but I want to know, I want fair. So
because the big thing is, when you get locked into whatever salary you're going to get locked into, going forward, you only getting 2-3%.
Right, if you can get that.
Yeah, unless you get into another position where it just completely changes your salary. Exactly. But overall, you're only going to get these little increases every year. So you need to start out where you really want to be, because it's not really that much room after that.
Right. Because you got goals, right? Everybody we want to be at the happy hours. We want to travel. We want to, give. We want to do a whole lot of stuff. Well, you ain't going to be able to live your best life, on 40, but or whatever. And your coworker making 75 and they living their best life. Yeah. So,
they negotiate better than you, not because they're doing more than you, is because they negotiated better than you. So
that's all it comes down to. Really having that affirmation. Once somebody offers you the job, they want you. So at this point, it's all about, what are you willing to take based off your services that you're offering, your project management, whatever services you're offering for that skill. So good.
And you might bump up against their bottom line. You'll know when you pushed it too far. They'll say keywords that'll be like, oh, I did too much. But it's okay to bump up against their bottom line.
Exactly. That's your bottom line. That ain't my bottom line. That ain't got nothing to do with me. So really understand that. The other thing I learned was, as you start to draw in, I like the range, but the other thing is, have a specific number. So instead of 75,000 or 90,000, have 75 to 50. I was watching a podcast from the CEO of LinkedIn or of their HR, and they were saying it's a lot more likely to happen when you get specific. Does the $250 make a big difference? No, but if you was really trying to get 75, 550 ain't bad. You know what I mean? It gets you what you need. So
you got to think about other things you can negotiate depending on
what
you can negotiate your PTO, you can negotiate your little wellness check or gym membership or a car, parking space. Like, it's other things that
parking space. Wow.
Parking space. I have a parking space in my job. Like, negotiate a parking space for sure. Because
I hear you.
Work all day. Cool. Let's talk about this parking, because I don't want to pay for that.
Oh, okay. I hear you. Because you're like, I'm walking 2 blocks, so I don't want to
too much. Like. Working downtown is expensive for parking.
In anybody's place. One other question that came up was tips on answering the "tell me about yourself" question. Are there important items to include?
Well, don't include your family situation because that doesn't matter. When they ask you to tell me about yourself, they don't care about your kids and who you was raised by and your life story. Like, that's not what they're asking. They're asking basically for you to run down the resume that you already gave them. Most people don't read the resume. Right. So you are telling them about yourself in relation to the position, in relation to the company. Just understand that anything they ask you during an interview is being critiqued and is being pushed up against, well, why would we need them? Right. So when they say that, that's your opportunity to tell them the skill sets that you have, where you got these skill sets from, the accomplishments that you've had, how you've been valuable at other places, how your co-workers at other places have viewed you, have you been recognized for things, but it's all based on the job. So that means you've already read the job description before you got there. You read it several times. You heard keywords in this job description, and you're going to use those things. So if they say they like somebody that's organized, they got good prioritization skills, then you talk about those things in the tell me about yourself opening. That's the things that you're supposed to be focusing on in that moment.
Okay. And again, it's like you said, it's per the job that you're in front of, you know. Yes. So you have to be able to ascertain the important pieces. But yes. So good. So good. Man. So Crystal, so walk us through as we kind of move into a little bit of wrap up, because again, it is hoodie season and you have a full day. As we try to wrap this thing up, what is I know you offer a consultation piece. So kind of walk us through, what does the consultation look like for you?
So the first thing that a client would do is send me their current resume, and in the body of the email, tell me the type of position they desire and in what industry. Mm-hmm. So then I create this whole write-up that has my five top revamp tips that I have based on what you've shared with me. So some people are fine with that, and then they're like, yes, I want to move forward, I'm ready. If I feel like I don't have enough information, and then in this consultation, I give you the price quote. So if you want to move forward, you make your payment. I do the payments prior to me writing the resumes. I tried it a different way when I first started. It did not work in my favor. So right. I get paid first.
I hear you. Thank you. You'd have went out. It'd been great if I got to help the person.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, because then I have a product that I can't use for anybody else. So exactly. It doesn't fit me at all. Exactly. So then after we do that, then I tell you in 72 hours, I'm going to have your draft or your final whatever resume. So I offer 100% satisfaction guaranteed, which means if when I send it back to you, you're like, I don't feel like this represents me, or I want to make these changes, I make changes until you're completely happy. But because we've already gone through the process of me understanding what you said you wanted, if they have job links, that things that they're interested in, they send me those too, along with the resume. So I'm equipped with all this information about who you are, what you want, and where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So then I write from there. But then if I feel like I don't have enough information, we schedule a call. Mm-hmm. And this is prior to you even saying you want to work with me. Like, we schedule a call so I can ask you more things in detail and understand what it is that you want. Right. If someone tells me like, I don't know, I just want a job, I'm like, you want to do construction? They're like, no, nah,
you know something.
Chef, like, nah. Right. Okay, so you do know things you don't want to do. I'm trying to understand, what do you want to try? Because I do not write general resumes. I don't think that's effective, and I think that it confuses the reader because they don't know what to do with you either. So if I put my whole history of, like, I have a business management degree, but then my first job was an admissions counselor. Then my second job, I was at an enterprise as a management trainee. Then my third job was personal banker. And then I became a writer, and now I'm an executive assistant. They're going like, what in the world?
So why are you here? Like, how did this even get through? Somebody about to get some feedback.
Yeah. So like, you're confusing them. So you have to paint the picture that's going to make sense to them. And that's what I do for people. I paint the picture that's going to make sense to attract the job that you want. So no matter what your history is or where you are, you must have decided that you wanted to do whatever your next thing is for a reason. So, okay, what's the reason? And then how did you get to a place of gaining the skill sets, not necessarily the position title, not necessarily the industry, but the skill sets to get you there. And once I understand that, then I can create whatever it is that you need. And that's kind of how the consultation process goes. It's a free consultation. I don't charge people for it. Some people think that I should at this point, but I'm still on, I'm okay doing free. So
and I definitely, that was one thing, guys, when you really think about trying to take your career to the next level, getting resources, getting connected with people that can help you. And then on top of that, like she said, she's willing to talk you through it, try to help you figure out what you want to do, then write a resume for that dream job that you may be pursuing, or that you hadn't thought of, but maybe you guys kind of find through a search. But that's free. Now, granted, the consultation is 20 minutes, and let's be clear that it is 20 minutes, but still that's important, because I mean, knowing how to make that next level step or take that next level step, that's important. You know what I mean? There are things you didn't consider. So it's kind of like me when I do coaching. I do a lot of coaching for free. But the important thing is you're not hiring me because I know how to write a budget and hand it back to you. You're hiring me because there are a lot of questions and answers that I have that you don't even know. Your mind doesn't even think that way. Your mind doesn't live and breathe in this stuff all day. That's what you're paying for. And to be honest, if you were making $50,000 and they took the service and now they're making 65, or now they're making 75,000, I mean, it's a 200. But I don't know I'm sorry, I'm ignorant on the cost, but I would be adventurous to say it's a small price to pay for a large gain. When you're looking at your investment, like what somebody pays me for coaching, well, shoot, if you got $10,000 out of debt and you got 20 grand in the bank, I mean, was it really worth, the 40, 45 bucks to talk to me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't have that before. So it's a different thing. So no, that's the one thing that I really liked about the conversation, and just your expertise, that generosity spirit that you've kept even over this long time. So definitely I would encourage you guys. She has a consultation. It is 20 minutes. And we got this on live recorded thing, so we can go back to verify MDB. But it is 20 minutes consultation. But she'll, like she said, 100% guarantee. She'll work and work and work it till you get to a satisfied point. That's phenomenal. I don't see too many other questions, but I do have one before I wrap up.
Okay.
So we talked a lot about your professional. How did you get to BET? We talked a lot about Write2Success, what it offers. But what is your thoughts, and can you kind of walk through having a business and being professional at the same time? So me, I definitely have the idea of, hey, everybody isn't meant to be an entrepreneur, small business. There are small business owners that should not be small business owners. There are workers or people who work 9 to 5 that shouldn't be working 9 to 5. It's kind of slush fund. But when you talk about that old adage of, hey, you have a business, run your business, forget your job. Well, you know what I mean? Everybody's not built that way. And then the hard work and the challenges that takes.
Yes. Well, I feel like having my own business helped me in the role that I'm in right now, because, enterprise, we work really long hours too. So enterprise, we work from like 7 to 7 every day.
Oh, wow.
Which I didn't know when I started. So that's why another reason I was ready to quit. Like, so nobody gonna tell me these hours? Like,
they just want you in a suit. As long as you're in a suit, we got you.
But when I wrote resumes, like I wrote until I finished. So whatever that was. And I needed to pay my rent, and I needed to pay my bills. I needed to eat. So I didn't have, like, I'm only going to work from 9 to 5. Like, no, it was work until I got what I needed. Right. And it was create promotions until I get the money that I need. So there was a month where I just wasn't sure how I was going to eat. And I'm like, okay, well, let me put a promo out there, and I put it on Facebook that I'll do resumes for $100. That was not the normal price, but I figured if I could get a lot of resumes in a day, so from sun up to sundown, I was just writing resumes, and I still gave that 72-hour turnaround time. So I would write like 8 resumes a day, 9 resumes a day. Like I'm just literally sitting on my couch, sometimes forgetting to eat because I'm writing. And now that I'm at BET, the work hours are still very long. Like I could start at 9 and end at 8, start at 9, end at 10, depending on if we're at an event. We start at 6 in the morning, end at 3 in the morning. Right. So I have that type of stamina and that work ethic where I'm like, I'm going to work until I get it done. Right. And if you are a small business owner, not only do you have to be super creative in generating business, and you have to be super consistent, because if you don't talk about what you do, people don't know. Right. And you got to be like a pro at networking, because right now I could go to an event and not really say much to anybody if I just don't feel like it. Right. But if I was really solely focused on Write2Success, and that's the only way I really was making money, then I need to be talking to everybody, and I need to be in the mood all the time, because people need to know what you do. You never know who you're talking to. And basically being an owner, it takes so much work. Like you are everything. You're the CEO, the COO, you're the customer service rep, you are your team to build to actually have a team. So you're doing the marketing, you're doing the social media management, you're doing everything. And if you don't have the passion or the drive to really stick to it over a long period of time, because it took like 5 years for Write2Success to build the steam to actually kind of move on its own, where I didn't have to promote as much as I was doing before. Wow. It took a while. So if you I'm gonna do this for a couple of years, see how it goes, it's not going anywhere too fast. Like you definitely gonna quit in 2-3 years, because if you to build some steam and that's gonna be your motivation,
exactly,
start it, because it takes so much time. And even when I look at people who are like, oh, they just came up, and I'm like, no, these people have been working at it for like years. Right. And overnight success takes like 10 years. Like this ain't no quick thing. We just don't see the work that goes into it. Right. But if you're going to start something, your own business, that you think, I have this amazing product, I have this amazing, whatever it is, and you probably do have something amazing, but you also better have way more than just an amazing product.
Right. Exactly.
To help you keep going, and to help you keep feeling like, okay, I can do this. I have to do this. When you feel like I have to do it, because some nights you're gonna wake up, you just gonna wake up in the middle, and you just don't feel it. But does that mean you can't do nothing that day? No. Maybe you can minimize what you normally would do. Maybe you just do one thing instead of 5 things, but you still better do something.
Yeah, that's it's so vital that I think people really understand. And that was really the motivation for doing this cash, right? Because we're at home, right? There's no better time, there's no better opportunity. Even if you've only been home for a day, this is a space where you can be like, you know what? Yeah, my job just laid me off. I ain't really like it that much anyway. You know what I mean? To be honest, you know what I mean? Yeah, I might be. Some of you are actually still getting paid, which is awesome. So if you're still getting paid and you have a week or 2 weeks off that you're going to be off, hey, this ain't the job you want. Maybe you can start that process of transitioning. Maybe it's a business idea. Maybe you didn't have time to really think it out. This is what this time can yield you, because I want you to enjoy your wife, enjoy your girlfriend. If your Crystal, hug a pillow here and there, you know what I mean? do whatever it is you like to do. But this time can be amazing for you, because that's one thing that I've seen about, and I like about how I filter my Facebook, is all the people that I've been on Facebook with, you and other colleagues, you all are all doing something. There's sometimes where you're working, there's sometimes where you're reading a book, people are going live left and right. It's so much, you know what I mean? You're using that time. And my thing is, if your biggest excuse was, hey, I got kids, I'll be tired at 7 p.m. to look for a job, because truth be told, it's hard, then this is the time for you to sit back and be like, you know what? Let me give Crystal a call. Even if I'm not looking, maybe there's some other thing. Let me try to see if I can connect with her, especially now while she has the time, she has even a little bit more abundance of time to be able to speak, to get you on that path. And who knows, 2020 didn't start off your year, but maybe it can end your year. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, say you start off with all these goals and COVID just came and wiped through your whole life plan. So now it's more of, hey, man, I got the time. How am I going to use it? If you didn't like your job, even if you didn't like your manager, whatever, how can I get myself to that next level? If you make 50, can I make 60? Or am I getting underpaid? Whatever. But ultimately, this is an opportunity for you to connect with somebody who, again, very, very generous, wealth of knowledge, so professional, so nice, so sweet, so kind, that, you know what I mean? I honestly, if she was in money, I'd be scared to be for real. But her God has gifted her with writing, and I appreciate that. But no, she is really, really awesome. And I would encourage you guys, and she's also in the Money Talks group, posting, kind of sharing her life as well. But definitely reach out to her. Have her look at your resume. Tell, you know what I'm saying, some tips, whatever. This is the time to do those things.
Yes.
So definitely, I appreciate you jumping on with me, Crystal. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, reach out. Join us in the Money Talks group. We're talking about money. We're talking about how you can manage through this time, but also we're talking about how you can invest, how you can get your budget together. If you have a chance, like me on J Thomas Solution Instagram. I know, Crystal, you said you had an Instagram that you simply post.
Yeah, I post sometimes, but it's Write2Success. So it's WRITE, the number 2, success.com. And that's also the website. So you guys can go on the website. You'll see before and after samples. You'll see more about me. You'll see client testimonials. So that may help you guys too.
Yeah, and that's phenomenal. And then this video, along with other videos that I'm doing, will be on the YouTube. It will be, if you're in the Money Talks group, it's still there if you need it. If you have a chance to go to the YouTube, click subscribe for me. But definitely appreciate you joining us, Crystal.
Thank you.
Anything else before I click them off?
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
See you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.